Hello Year 3, it's Sam here, and I'm bringing you spelling this week. So for spelling this week, we're going to be looking at changing the meaning of a word by adding a prefix. A prefix comes at the beginning of a root word to change its meaning, and we're going to be looking at two prefixes this week, in and il. So what is a prefix? A prefix is a group of letters that is added to the beginning of a word to change its meaning. It's similar to a suffix, which is added to the end of a word, for example, ed or ing. Prefixes are added to a root word, and a root word is a word that makes sense on its own, but it could also have prefixes at the beginning or suffixes at the end. For example, the verb take can be made into mistake with the prefix, that would be miss, the prefix at the beginning, and taking, which would be a suffix, ing, at the end. So, with the group of prefixes that we are going to look at this week, we've got some rules here, so it makes it really easy for us to follow. So the prefix that is used depends on the first letter of the root word. So remember, the root word is the original word, that's the word that makes sense on its own. So these are some golden rules for you to remember for il and in. So we use il, this prefix here, when the root word begins with l. So for example, here we've got the word legal, legal, legal. That means that you, by law, you're allowed to do something, and so something is legal. If we wanted to change the meaning to the opposite of that, we would add the prefix il, because legal starts with an L. And if something is illegal, that means that by law you are not allowed to do it. And then it's similar here with in. We use in when the root word begins with any other letter. So for example, here we've got incapable. So capable would mean that you are able to do something. If you weren't able to do something, we would say incapable. So it changes it to the opposite. So here we've got some examples for in, the prefix. So when we're adding that to the beginning of a root word, it's because we want to say that it's not, or it's the opposite of the root word. So for example, here we've got appropriate. Okay, if we say that something is not, something is appropriate, that means it's okay for the situation. If we want to say that it's not really appropriate for the situation, we would add in at the beginning, so it becomes inappropriate. So for example, here we've got Jeremy. Jeremy was told that his clothes were inappropriate for his job at the building site because he's wearing this silly hat and not wearing safe clothing and a hard hat. If he was wearing a hard hat, he would be wearing appropriate clothing. But this outfit is very inappropriate for a building site. Similarly with il, so again, we add this to a root word to show that something is the opposite of something. So here we've already talked a little bit about legal and illegal. Here is another word, we've got legible. So it starts with the L here, legible. If your handwriting is legible, that means that we can read it. If we can't read it and it's the opposite of legible, we add il onto the front and it becomes illegible. So here we've got a sentence with an example. Toby's handwriting was illegible because he was rushing his work. And so that means that we can't read it. So we've changed the meaning there by adding il as a prefix at the beginning. So here I want you to have a go at sorting these words here into the right column. So thinking about the rule, whether you add il or in. And if you're not sure on the rules, I'll show you this bit. Again, you can pause the video here to remember. So we add il when the root word begins with an L, and in if the root word begins with a different letter. So going back here, pause the video, have a go. You could either do it on paper or you could just think about where it would go, maybe tell an adult or tell somebody at home. So legal, would it become illegal or illegal? Then we've got this word is audible. So if something's audible, it means you can hear it. So then if you couldn't, would it be inaudible or inaudible? Logical, active, and capable. So have a go at thinking whether they would be ill or in. And then we've got a fun little activity here. You can pause the video here again and see if you can find these words here word search. And then when you've done that, you can have a go at writing some sentences with these words in. So we've talked a lot about the meaning of a lot of them, like illegal, illegible. If someone is impatient, that's the opposite of the root word, which is patient. So if someone's impatient, it means they are not patient. Okay, and then maybe see if you can think about what immature and immortal might mean. You could use an online dictionary or a dictionary at home to help you with that. Talk to you soon. Bye.